Okay, my outstanding friends, this is just so far over the top, I don't know what to say. They've been looking for the source of the Nile for thousands of years. Nobody's ever discovered it. It says it still lives on today. What is the source of the Nile? Where did the Nile come from? Well, I can tell you where it came from. It came from a vagina. So let's get into it. Well, you know what I mean. Okay, my friends, this is going to be part one because this is going to be very deep and detailed. I claim this is a vagina, and this is the labia minor and the labia majora, big. And this right here is part of the digestive tract. That's the source of the Nile. It starts out here sucking everything together. I have very, very detailed pictures of this, and I can understand exactly what's going on. Now, this is called the Red Sea. Okay, my friends, I'm going to show you right now. This is biology, and this right over here is the fascia. I'll show you that. It's unbelievable. This, I'm going to say, is a vagina. And that's the little spots right at the top where the folds of skin are. And this is what they call the labia, I think it's majora and minora or something like that. It's the wide out edge and then the inner edge. You see the difference, the distinction between the two. And this, for some reason, got ripped out here. And the fascia is over here. I will show you that. This is a lake that has just turned brilliantly red. And you can see the runoff here. Now, this is the Red Sea. If somehow it gets over into there, I have no idea. But it does turn red on occasion. And that's what happens in female vaginas. You know, that just happens. Now, this is it looks to me, it must be involved in the poop. Although it is water. Now, these creatures were not like us. They have what they call a cloaca. And normally that is where the poop comes together with the urinary tract and they dump together as a unit. Now, why this is all water, I don't know. But I do know that this is absolutely a part of the digestive system, and it's taken the fluids, apparently. And you see these kind of things here? That's not normal. That's not just your normal finger lakes, whatever they want to call them. This is biology. This, my friends, is biology. And it's doing something here. It's absorbing some chemistry, or it's putting some out. I think it's absorbing some kind of pancreatic juices or something like that. All right, because you see, it's very, very, it's just bing right here, and all of a sudden it does all this. And the same thing happens down below. As they come down through here, you can see the change in color even. You see, something's happening here, adding something, some digestive juice or whatever. And then down here, you got almost looks like an intestine. And then you got this thing hanging off the side. And that's what they do. There's a reabsorptive factor. And I think this is where the reabsorption occurs and takes out the fluids that normally would just, or whatever it does. It takes out nutrients, or I don't know what it does. But it's some little device that works with the stuff that's coming down and reabsorbs nutrients or vitamins or whatever, something like that. And then the two of them meet together and dump into the Mediterranean. I guess it's the Mediterranean, the end of the Mediterranean. This is upside down because this is the way the vagina is. Now, in ancient texts, it says the earth had sex, had intercourse. The earth had intercourse. Exactly what it says. Now, this over here, let me just show you some real deep shots about this. But again, that's the vagina. That's the little folds of skin. The labia minor, labia majora. We got something ripped this. And you can see it stretched like hell, and then all of a sudden it's back to being the regular interstitium. All right, as I said, we got a vagina, and this whole side appears to have been really stretched and pulled away hard. And this is the interstitium here, and I will show you this. Is quite obvious. You see this right here? That right there, you got to let it settle in. is the interstitium. All right, all that little wrinkly stuff. Watch when we get right down on here. You see it? That is the interstitium layer that can pull this way and pull that way, and it all comes back. You see how it's all bundled up here? All these little things. It's being stretched this way. Over here, it's really being stretched. It's like stretched to the point of almost breaking. If we come back, you see how it's getting all stretched out here? This whole area got ripped away somehow. And that interstitium is not supposed to be pulled that tight like that. All right? It's supposed to be more like this stuff here. Well, you come way out here, you'll see it's basically like this. This is what you should see on the interstitium. And that gives it the ability to do this, and to do this, and to do that, because your skin has to be able to do all that. Now, the other thing I thought was pretty cool is these are fluid-filled highways, basically, in the body. These are little tubes, and it appears like the tubes have collapsed in the center. That's what it looks like to me. But this is what interstitium is. And again, it's got ripped something really hard, because all the way out to here, it's still all ripped up. Something happened out here. I don't know what. See how this is all stretched out and this is all gathered together. So I'm saying this is a vagina, and I've got a lot of details on this, and this is going to require a very long, detailed analysis of this. But the source of the Nile is not Lake Victoria. That's Lake Victoria. That's not the source of the Nile. This is absorbing all kinds of stuff. This is part of the digestive system, I'm sure. Look at the size of this vagina. And this, I believe, is the womb. I'd have to go with the womb being right there. You see this? Whenever you see these abrupt transitions, something like was fused into another body part, whatever was here. This here is, and again, this is going to require a lot of really deep looking, because there's so much going on here that you don't really even understand until you look. And this is where that red lake came up, right here. It turned brilliant red. You see this? This is, instead of being normal blue like this, something ejected something out of here and turned it red, because here's what it turned like. It's right there. This is what happened in this whole area, the red, and this is nothing more than tissue. I know this stuff inside and out. Now, there's no question whatsoever what we're dealing with here, and it's biology. But it's so hard for the average mind to accept what our true nature is here. And this is up here on Jupiter. I think it's getting ready to give birth again. This is all red, it turned round like it would, getting ready to have birth. And the big slabs of red stuff came off back in 2019. Now this is only 4 years later, 5 years later, whatever. And I don't know how long they take to eject the planet, but boy, I tell you, it looks like it's getting ready as far as I'm concerned. And that's Jupiter. And that red spot will give birth to a planet the size of Earth, basically, because that's what Venus was. Now, Jupiter has 12 moons, I believe. So did it give birth to all those? And possibly did Earth give birth to the moon? I don't know. I wouldn't think that Earth gave birth to the moon, but I don't know. And then you see this thing here. I think this could be an egg. I mean, that's just not normal. And when I really homed in on it, you could see they built something right in the middle of there, I believe, right in the middle of this thing. Very strange stuff we're looking into here, but it's going to require some deep time to do this. All right, I just want to be sure that you understand that interstitium is up on Mars, too. This is called the Mars Morse code. From Curiosity, went up there in 2014. I alerted NASA. I said, you guys got biology all over the place. And I also told them about the Mars crab. This is from a NASA picture they sent back saying, we saw this, and everybody made a big joke out of it. And I said, no, this is an artery and a vein, and these are muscle sarcomeres. And that was biology. And then NASA funded Yale to do a research to see if, for some reason, into mud fossils. which they did, and they agreed, yes, mud fossils can happen. They're talking about on Earth, and make extremely, what do they call it, exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures. That's correct. Only they don't understand it. I do. I discovered it, and I gave them the paper years before they somehow got funded from NASA. And I think it was because I alerted NASA, and I said, these are the same as the Moki marbles. That's life. This is the same as what I showed you over in the desert, which is interstitium. That's exactly, and that also I discovered in my mud fossils. They never even knew this stuff existed. It's a crazy new world, my friends. But what I'm showing you is pushed back at desperately, but it is true. Dragon in the desert, Red Sea, which is a vagina. Earth gave birth to Typhon. Typhon is there. All right, this map goes back to 1375. It's called the Atlas Catalan Abraham Kresk map. So look it up if you need to find it, because I don't have any links to this. Now, this is some big shot commissioned this, and this is the best map that I've ever seen. And it showed all the principalities and who was in charge, and they had all details about what they did. And, you know, there was pearl divers here and gold diggers there. And now, this is what I found very interesting. Of course, there's the Red Sea, just what we're talking about. That's a vagina. Here's Typhon right here. There's Typhon, runs all the way across the desert, and there's his throat cut. He runs exactly where he is. Exactly. That's Italy right here. Runs all the way across North Africa. So they knew, we all knew this stuff until the Age of Enlightenment came, when academia came along and said, no, these people are all crazy. We're going to make you people smart, and you're going to do what we tell you to do. And that's what happened. And if you don't do what you're told to do, you're going to be where I am, out sitting somewhere out in the woods. Nobody will listen to you. All right, here it is right here. The other giants Zeus smote and destroyed with thunderbolts, and all of them Hercules shot with arrows as they were dying. When the gods had overcome the giants, Earth, still more enraged, had intercourse, had sex. Earth had sex with Tartarus and brought forth Typhon, who was the gigantic dragon in the desert I've shown 1,000,000 times, a hybrid between man and beast. Now, here's the key. The Earth gave birth to all kinds of different giants and monsters and cyclopses and hundred-handers and all these titans, and they were her children. All right, these giants were her children. Well, the gods were other gods. Zeus was a planet. Zeus was a planet, Jupiter, and he killed all of her children, and she was pissed. So she had sex with Tartarus and brought forth this gigantic dragon who attacked the gods. However, Zeus smote him. All right, same thing here. Jupiter gave birth to. It gave birth to Venus, which attacked Earth to wipe out all the giants. And this is another thing that Earth must have been kind of pissed off about, because it did. It wiped up all the giants and virtually everybody and all of the life on Earth except the ones that were preserved. Now, here's the key. Here's the real key, is that Prometheus was the father of Noah. In these ancient texts, in Apollodorus, he says he was called Deucalion, and he was Noah. He was tipped off by Prometheus, who was in touch with the god, or Zeus exactly, to be honest, because Zeus was the one that sent Venus to destroy Earth by giving birth to her, or him, or whoever it was. And I think now Venus might be Jesus, because Venus is known as the morning star. And Jesus said, I am the morning star. So, and this is the son of Jupiter, who was the god. So he was the son of the god, it looks like to me. Now, this god, though, Jupiter, was not the god of the big god. Whoops. All right, sorry about that. Venus was born from that vagina on Jupiter. So Jupiter is the father, but female. Because they could be female, they could be male, they could be insects, they could be fungus, they could be rivers, they could be anything they wanted. They control matter, basically, is what it boils down to. So, and Jupiter as a planet, one of the biggest, well, the biggest planet in our solar system, would turn himself into a little person, come down onto Mount Olympus and have sex parties. That's what that was, what it was all about. There was 200 of them, broke away from the major god that sent the 600 angels. And I guess they're planets or stars or whatever they are. I don't know what they are, but this is Jupiter was put in charge of this solar system. And he apparently took 200 guys, and 200 or whatever they were, and said, let's go and just have fun. And they did. And then that started all these wars and all that nonsense, because what happened was, well, we're going to get into this very, very deep, because it's a long, deep, convoluted story. But I think now I'm starting to understand everything in the universe is biological. And this right here shows me that this is an attachment. It's called the forcet, which locks in the vagina right there. And it's, you see this right here? That's called the forcet. And it locks the vagina in so it doesn't get stripped out of there. And they do, they can get ripped right out of there. And I was just reading up about it, as a matter of fact. And this is what it looks like in the human body. That spot right there is the forcet. All right, and all the rest of the stuff I talked about, the labia minora and the labia majora, there they are right there, the big wide spot right here. All this here is the labia majora, and this is the labia minora, very close down here, and of course the vaginal opening in the canal. And this is precisely what you have here. You got your inside labia and outside labia, the vaginal canal, the clitoris, the forcet. And this is actually, I believe, even like the hairline right out here. You see that? It looks like the hairline. But that's the forcet. That right there, that locked it in for me. When you see these little tabs coming up, here's what it looks like in a better shot. Hold on. You see it? It's right there. That's the spot we're looking at. And of course, here's the labia majora and the inner labia. And that's what the red spot is on Venus. It's not a red spot, a storm. It's a vagina. And that's what it was written in the ancient text. And this is what's happening over there. This appears to be the opening towards the womb, because I have shots of that too somewhere here, where that spot is. It's over here, right there. And all that stuff comes all into here, and I think these two may even be eggs. I looked at these and they look like they might be something you would consider to be an egg, and this could be the womb. I don't know. At this point, it's there's a lot of looking and searching to do, but these are what these eggs look like. You see that? Those are those little black looking eggs. Now, whether they're still viable, I don't know. You see, this is basically, that's just hard to understand without it. And you see this here, that little spot? Where do you see the other one? The same exact identical structure. All right, we just saw that one. Look at this one. Same thing right there. Same stuff coming out here. Same structure, and the two of them side by side in the same area. And I think that's a womb. Right there. That's where that red blood spot was. And this is a very interesting place here. Whenever you see an abrupt transition like this is like in a womb attached into the gut or something. And then this whole area, when I got down in here and started really looking deep, yikes. It's nothing but biology. But the source of the Nile is the fact that it is part of the digestive system. It's not coming from Lake Victoria. They said Lake Victoria was the source of the Nile. No, not correct. Not correct. Right, they say way up here, Lake Victoria is the source of the Nile. No, it's not. They just can't figure it out because it's being absorbed by all of these tissues that are in here, and there's still entrances and still biology that's there. Now it may not be alive now, I don't know, but it's still doing its functioning of moving fluids through Earth, which is Mother Earth, Gaia. And then it absorbs them all, and there's where that could be the womb, I don't know. But this is why it's so fertile down here, is because of the body fluids. Now, is this an avian creature? I don't know. I don't know. Because this could be anything. It's just, I mean, it's not normal for something to be like this today. I don't know what it is. But this is exactly what I would expect to see as a vagina. And Earth gave birth to all these creatures, and I mean hundreds of them. And if you read Apollodorus, it'll freak you out. She gave birth to 100-handers, and then they had 50 heads, and the Cyclopses, and the Titans, and all the giants, and then the gods killed them. They wiped them out, and she got mad. So she created Typhon. And here's Typhon, hold on. Everybody knows where Typhon is. Typhon, where are you? He's the dragon in the desert. And he's the one she created. And here he is right over here, attacking this gigantic fish. And everybody says, oh, the fish is swimming that way. No, it isn't. Swimming this way. You see the scales turn this way, this way, this way, this way. That means it's going this way. Otherwise, if it was swimming this way, the scales would open right up. They lay back because it's going that way. You see the scales? They go this way, and this way, and this way. If they were going the other way, yes, I'd say it was, but this is the tail. Now, he was attacking the fish. And it's another thing he says, identical to what it says in the ancient text. It says he attacked the gods, and the gods changed themselves into animals to try to get away. And apparently he got the fish. Because right here is eating right into vital flesh. Oh, that's nasty, nasty stuff. And this is Typhon. He's the dragon. And here's his dragon-scaled throat coming all the way down. This is just runoff from his dead, decaying body. And this is his dragon-scaled throat. And he's on the maps. He's on the maps. They knew he was there, and they knew that Zeus cut his throat. And here's the gash right across his throat. And here's his scales. They're all over. This is no question. This is a dragon, and it's a dragon scales. And I can find, again, I look for the digestive system, because every creature had one. And this is where he pooped, right here, this thing. He went all the way down here, and he pooped right there. See, this is some more blood just running out of this little divot here. But these are the dragon scales. You can see them. There's no question these are dragon scales. Hills don't form like that. And this is blood running out. These are transition metals. It's different materials the scales were made out of. See? It's not just like one thing. So these are all the dragon scales, and that's all the bodily fluids running out of it. And if we come back here up to his digestive system, this is the whole body is here, a whole gigantic body. There's his legs. Right there is where he poops. And that's why they're living right there, because it's fertile. You see it right there? This is where he pooped right out of here. And again, the poop on this one comes out here, and that's where they're living. And the urine comes down here, the urinary tract. And this is more like a cloaca, and the two of them come back together here. You see this one runs in, and this is right here is where the poop runs out. You see? You see, these are dragon scales. And that's where it poops. And over here is where the urine stuff runs out. In a bird, you got your black and your white stuff. When it poops on your windshield, you see black and you see white. One of them is this side, which is the white side, and one of them is the poop side, which is this side. But they come out together in what they call a cloaca. They dump together and discharge out. So this was Typhon. And he was made by Earth to attack the gods, which he did, but Zeus overcame and cut his throat. And don't forget, it's right there. This is all the blood running out in the desert. You see this right here? This is all blood running out in the desert. And it was running green. You know, blood makes things grow very, very green. And this was very, very green. And now it's turned black. And this was just a couple of years ago, as green as it could be. It was that same color, the whole thing. The whole thing. You see what it is now? I'm not exactly sure what is going on there, but it doesn't look good. There's no more water coming through here. This is a dam. It's just dry as a bone now, I think. You see? It used to be, you know, there's still maybe a trickle of water coming down, but it's basically dried up as dry as a bone now. You see it? There's nothing left here. There's no water coming through. So all of this has died. And I'm not kidding you. This was as green. You couldn't see any greener than this. It was to blow your eyeballs out green. It's still a little green way down the end here. But over there, it's just everything's dead. See the green down here? We got trouble. We got serious trouble here on Earth, my friends. And it's just what we got. And all this stuff has been written about, so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised once I realized that all the things they had written about that we thought was silly were real. And all of the age of the sea monsters was because the parasites that lived in these gigantic creatures, this is 1,100 miles long. Think about the size of the parasites. They were the sea monsters. You see, they came out here out of his body into the ocean through these channels. And then they attacked ships. That's where all the sea monsters came from these gigantic creatures when they died. And they died because we almost got hit by Venus, and that Venus was dispatched by Zeus, who was Jupiter, to kill all of these giant creatures. And it did. And Mother Earth, I'm sure, grieved at the destruction of her offspring. Because they are everywhere. They're everywhere on Earth. We are in such a different world than we thought. And like I say, there's the outer layers of the vagina. I mean, it's all I can say. All right, we really got to get very deep into this because, you know, if we want to understand the reality of the world we're living in, this is what it's going to require. Now, we talked about Typhon. I showed you Typhon. Zeus killed him. At this point, there was no humans. At this point, there was no humans on Earth. There was just giants and dragons and all these monsters. Now, Zeus killed all of these guys, all the giants and the titans and all that stuff. So Zeus cast Mount Etna on him and all this stuff, and he killed all of the giants. Now, then Prometheus, who was another god, molded men out of water and earth. He molded them with the clay and gave them fire, which Zeus did not want him to have fire. So Zeus, it was unknown to Zeus. He had hidden it in a stalk of fennel. When Zeus learned about it, he ordered Hephaestus, who was another god, to nail Prometheus to Mount Caucasus, which is in Scythian mountains, and on it Prometheus was nailed and kept bound for many years. Every day an eagle swooped in on him and devoured the lobes of his liver, which grew back by night. That was the penalty that Prometheus paid for the theft of fire until Hercules afterwards released him. So Hercules was still around, came back and released him, as we shall show in dealing with Hercules. Now, Prometheus had a son, Deucalion. Here's where the great flood comes in. Because at this point, there's no more giants. There's no more anything, but there's just nothing but crazy people on the earth. And Zeus wants them dead. Or actually, I guess all the giants would still be around. No, I guess it said Zeus killed all the giants. All right? and I assume that's the Titans and so forth. So then Prometheus had a son, Deucalion, reigning in the regions about Pythia. So Prometheus had molded the men, he created all this people on earth, and apparently they went bad. Okay, and he reigned in the regions about Pythia, that's Noah. He married Pyrrha, the daughter of Hephaestus and Pandora, who was the first woman fashioned by the gods. So this is really way back to where we just started humanity. Now, when Zeus would destroy the men of the Bronze Age, so he's going to kill them all because they were just all bad, they were no good. Deucalion, by the advice of his father Prometheus, constructed a chest. So we know now, if this is true, Zeus plotted to have the baby, which was Venus, to destroy the earth. He had it all planned out. I'm going to have the baby. We're going to shoot him down. All right, my son will take this and take care of it. Having stored with provisions, he embarked with Pyrrha. Zeus, pouring heaven rain from heaven, flooded the greater part of Greece. All men were destroyed, except a few fled to the high mountains, and they would have had to have been in caves too, and in that neighborhood. It was then that the mountains in Thessaly parted, and all the world outside Isthmus and Peloponnesia was overwhelmed. But Deucalion, floating in the chest he had constructed over the sea for 9 days and as many nights, drifted to Parnassus, and there, when the rain ceased, he landed and sacrificed to Zeus, the god of escape. And Zeus sent Hermes to him and allowed him to choose whatever he wanted. What would you want? And he said, I want men. And at that bidding, Zeus took up stones, and at that bidding of Zeus, he, Noah, took up stones, threw them over his head, and the stones which Noah, Deucalion, threw became men. The stones which Pyrrha threw became women. Hence people were called metaphorically lost a stone. And Deucalion had children with Pyrrha, first Helen, whose father some say was Zeus. Zeus was all over women. And second, Amphitryon, who reigned over Attica after Cranus. A third, a daughter Protogenia, who became the mother of Atheus by Zeus. So Zeus was getting on with her too. And then it goes on and on. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's just stunning. And this we're only into book 1. And this goes on here. You got book 1, right from the beginning. The Titans, the Olympian gods, Prometheus, Deucalion, giants, Typhon. Book 2 is all kinds of stuff. Book 3 is some more, all kinds of stuff. This is all of these books were written primarily from the text that Hesiod wrote back 800 BC, and he wrote those when he was on Mount Helicon. And the daughters of Zeus, so Zeus was around then. This is 800 BC. The daughters of Zeus went to him and said, write the history of our father. We want you to write it. And this is what he wrote. Well, this Apollodorus took everybody else's history. This was about 200 BC, 2nd century BC. So 150, somewhere around it, BC. But the rest of them went back all the way back to 800 BC. And Hesiod was the first one to write, and he wrote and wrote and wrote. And then Ovid wrote at the time of Caesar, which is the time of Christ, and wrote about metamorphosis, which is their ability to change themselves. Metamorphosis is like a chrysalis, a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And these guys could do anything they want. They could turn into anything they wanted. And then they would turn other creatures into the landscape just for fun, really. You read Ovid, it'll blow your mind. Metamorphosis. Okay, I'm going to leave it at this, but if you want to find out more about the ancient texts, read Metamorphosis. And this was written by by Ovid. They call them poets. They were writers, and they were historical documenters, basically, and we called them poets. And he wrote 15 books. And this is Metamorphosis, which means to be able to change. And these are book 1, the creation, ages of mankind, the flood, Deucalion, Pyrrha, Apollo, all of this stuff, all the way down, everybody, all the way down through all of the people, Hercules, all of them. These were the stories of the history of the earth, which was just laughed at because it's so incredible. And book 15 ends up somewhere around Julius Caesar, because that's when he lived, so after that he wouldn't know about. But here's what it says. Metamorphosis, or transformation, transforming something, is a unifying theme amongst the episodes of the Metamorphosis. Ovid raises its significance explicitly in the opening lines, the first lines. He says, in nova fert animus mutatus dicere formos copara. What does that mean? I intend to speak of forms changed into new entities. So something was changed from something into something else. And he says, accompanying this theme is often violence. Oh, boy, violence, you're not talking. You have no idea about the violence. The theme often accompanies violence inflicted upon a victim whose transformation becomes part of the natural landscape. They wiped them all out. And the theme amalgamates, it goes on and on and on and on. And they could turn themselves into anything. Look, there's a great variety among the types of transformations take place. Human to inanimate objects like the Nile River, constellations, animals, plants, ants, fungi, one sex to another, like Jupiter has a female vagina. And from one color to another, they can be anything they want. They could transform pebbles into anything. And they did. They could become stars, and they are immortal. So they're still around somewhere. I don't know where they are, but they're still around somewhere. Okay, the source of the Nile, 3,000-year mystery, the source of the Nile. A simple question, just simple, of geography for the source of the Nile River has captivated explorers and rulers throughout history and lives on to this day. And no longer, it's up till this day, now the case has been closed by Mudfossil University and yours truly, Roger Spurr. All right, I love you all. Happy New Year. 2024, I hope, will be the year that everybody comes to realize our true past. Because this is not just spectacular and something to get excited about. It's something to consider, because if all these texts are correct, you got rules, you got things that are going to happen. And Jesus Christ, it looks like to me, came back to warn you. He said, these people were not, all this crazy stuff wasn't crazy. What's being crazy is you've overlooking all this old stuff. And they have covered your eyes. And he says there'll be false teachers among you. And that's exactly what he said. And he said their destruction does not sleep. Because they're teaching you that this is not, none of this stuff is true. Pay no attention to this. If you do, we'll destroy your life, because everybody will consider you an insane person. This is the sane part of I can't disagree. It sounds insane. It is not insane. It is insane to dismiss it, because if eternity is eternity, which means forever, and it is based on what you do during this realm, it appears to me, I could be wrong, but if I've done enough research on this to have a good, solid feeling that what they wrote was true. And there is these obligations and there's these destinies that you are going to confront at the end of your life. Are you going to go to the right, or are you going to go to the left? All right? Think it over. That's all I can say. Happy New Year to you all. I love you, my friends. I just want this stuff understood. That's all.